Just a quick pause. This video is made for entertainment purposes only. Nothing in this video is or should be considered financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the No Limit Crypto channel. So in this video we are looking at Avalanche. I am going to look at what I think Avalanche will do next week. So if you enjoy this daily Avalanche and other cryptocurrency videos, please consider liking and subscribing. That helps me out massively. So this video is gonna be pretty confusing probably. There's gonna be a lot of trend lines drawn, and I'm doing that just so I can find some sort of market structure. I'm gonna try to make it as clear as possible so that you guys can follow my thought process for next week, or at least the start of next week. So I'm trying to find basically where we are topping off, like where's the top gonna be right now. So we had this trend line that I talked about last week. We broke through it, which basically enables us to make quicker moves to the upside, which is nice. It didn't have to play out like this. Even the scenario where we didn't break it did look nice, but now we're enabling us to make a quicker move towards our target, which is at $92, or even 100 if we get to 92. But 92, excuse me, is the start of this move. So now I'm basically looking for where is the top, and I'm looking at trend lines. We can first look at the shortest term trend, which we have right now, and take that one away for a while. So the shortest term trend that we have right now, you can see it is like, this is not a sustainable trend. Like I think everyone, even if they're not confident in their chart reading abilities, can see that this is not a trend line that we can follow for a long time. So this trend line is going to have to break, and you can see that this trend line can't exactly break to the upside because then we're going straight up. So I'm expecting this to break to the downside. And I'm gonna explain to you later why I really think we are gonna have a short correction down for a while. So what I'm looking at is, where is the top going to be? So the top is 100%, not 100%, but possibly going to be one of these lines. So we can see that if we say that we reach the top right here, around here, we are looking at a new all-time high at $77, and right here we would be looking at somewhere like 79 or 80. So I would say that we're gonna top off either at 77 or 80. We don't have to do it because we have a bearish divergence. I'm gonna explain that to you later. But so we don't have to reach these levels basically. But if we are gonna top off, we are gonna top off at 77 or at 80. That's gonna be the top. So now that we have a top, possible top forming, we can take away these trend lines for a while, and I'm gonna explain to you why I think we are gonna make a correction to the downside. So we have a bearish divergence. So if you look, I'm gonna take my brush, look like down here, we have a lower high on the stochastic RSI, and on the chart we have a higher high. So this is a bearish divergence, and from the name you might expect it means that we are gonna have a correction to the downside. And that is reason number one why I think we are gonna have a correction to the downside. Reason number two comes from this shortest term trend line right here, and this a bit longer term trend line right here. So this was one of the trend lines that I drew as a possibility where we might hit our high. So this seems like a fairly likely scenario that we make a small $76, $77 high, and after that we make a correction to the downside. So what you can see on the chart right now, we have a rising wedge. A rising wedge is a bearish pattern, and this bearish pattern also has the thing that, like, if you expect us to break this to the upside, like that's gonna be a parabolic move to 92 basically. Like it's gonna be crazy, and we're gonna hit 92 92 next week probably. So I don't expect that to happen necessarily after like we have made such strong moves for the last like 2 weeks. I think we've just like made a solid 120% in the last 2 weeks, or in like 12 days. So like I don't expect us to necessarily just go bam and go to 92 immediately. I think we're gonna have to have a correction. I'm not talking about a long correction. I'm talking about like a short correction, just finding some sort of market structure. So now that we know that we are expecting a correction because we have a rising wedge and a bearish divergence, like we have two things telling us that we are going to have a correction. At that point, I think we have to think that we are going to have a correction. So I'm pretty confident that we are going to have a correction to the downside. So where could I see us going? I'm going to draw this trend line. And actually, if these two scenarios play out, even if these two scenarios play out, we still have a rising wedge. But if this scenario plays out right now, this is a rising wedge. So I think we can pretty confidently say that we have this trend line right here, and it would be an okay thing for us to come back down here and test this as support again. And as we are expecting a correction, we need to find that spot where we could correct to. So what I'm looking for then, now that I have a trend line, I'm looking for a spot on the trend line which has some support around it. I might actually draw this as a little bit of a range. So let's get a triangle and do something like this. That's a bit too wide maybe, but it doesn't necessarily matter that much. I'm going to do something like this. So this seems like a likely spot. This was earlier resistance, broke out, tested it as support again. So this seems like it's going to be a possible support line for us. And now we have a spot on the chart. I'm going to draw a scenario. So now we have a spot on the chart where we have a trend line and a possible support level. So we have strong confidence on the chart that this is where we are going to be going to. So this is going to be a possible, because you have to realize that this thing right here, there's people in the market that look at trend lines and they see that, okay, we're going to meet right here. Like this is the spot where we're going to hit. And then we have those guys who maybe don't believe in trend lines, but they just look at supports and resistances. And they look at the chart right here. Okay, we have support right here. And they are thinking about entering longs right here. And the trend line traders are looking to enter longs right here. So now we have a confluence between two sorts of people. So this is going to be a strong level of support. So what I'm expecting us to do, and this obviously, if this plays out exactly like this would have a correction of 20%, which absolutely could be that we get the bearish divergence out of the way and we can start focusing on moving up again. So this is what I think is going to happen in the start of next week. It's hard to say exactly what is going to happen the whole week, but I think a scenario like this could play out in first 3 or 4 days of the week. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. That helps me out massively. Thank you very much.